Hello, it's me again, Tanya Driscoll. This is video number 4 in this second webinar series on critical thinking. So here we are with idea number 4. So how to get some creating and some movement going on in your classroom. Now, first of all, I want you to keep in mind, these activities do not always have to relate to your lesson or to a standard. Sometimes these kinds of activities are brain breaks actually from the very intense focused learning that they've got to do in your classroom. And especially if you're on a block schedule, you'll need some brain breaks sometimes. I mean, maybe it's just once a month you just have this, like in the middle of class, hey, we're stopping now, we're going to do this activity. It has nothing to do with the lesson. I just need your brain to have some fun for a while. Okay. So, or they could relate to the lesson. Hey, however you want to do it. I don't want to limit you and think that you have to come up with these grand ideas that relate specifically to your lesson, because they don't always have to. Sometimes just the act of being creative and working together and thinking up strange creative solutions to problems, um, actually it helps kids to like refocus on the work that you're actually wanting them to do. So, okay, here's some ideas. Okay, 30 minutes. Create a shelter. You get one paper, one newspaper, and one roll of masking tape, and it needs to hold 4 adults. In 10 minutes, create a tower that's 5 meters tall and can hold a beanbag for 5 seconds using only note cards. No tools, nothing else but your hands and the note cards building this. 20 minutes, create a tower out of 20 spaghetti sticks, 1 meter of string, 1 meter of tape that can balance a giant marshmallow for 10 seconds. So these are very limiting ideas. When you constrain kids to this very limited idea, it really makes them think critically about how are we really going to make this happen. Okay, design. So you could partner up students, you could have them work in groups, they can create, they can draw, they can just explain. Some infomercial or brochures that can sell a crazy idea like invisible band-aids. Like, I need you to come up with, a speech here that can sell invisible band-aids to moms. Or socks with holes, like how great socks with holes are and why you should be buying them. Or use paper plates. So something very, very silly. You could put a time constraint on this, and have them then at the end, they all share their ideas. Draw and explain the features of a new smart coffee cup. Like, it's a coffee cup, but it's smart, so it's going to have some kind of, something it does. Draw and list the features of the perfect robot helper. Okay, how about inventing? So this is when you're going to give kids a problem without any constraints. I mean, their ideas can be completely over the top. They have access to anything they can possibly imagine. And of course, they're not going to build this, they're just going to be explaining it, okay? But what is a way to eat spaghetti without your hands and without getting your face dirty? How can you make that happen? How could you walk your dog without actually exercising? How can you get safely off a 3rd floor building without using a ladder, stairs, or an elevator? And just let them be totally crazy about it. Another one that's not on here that I'm thinking of is whenever you give kids an object, like, hey, what are all the uses of this thing? I mean, we know what the actual use is. What else could we use it for? And that takes just a few minutes, and the answers you get can be very, very funny. Typically, there will always be, for every single object I've ever asked students to do this, somehow murder can always happen from all objects. So keep that in mind. Kids will go to very dark places with that one. So maybe you can just laugh that off, or maybe you're going to say, hey, and no one can die in these examples. Okay, you could have them use evidence like post a picture. Maybe you go to Google Arts and Culture and you just find a really beautiful piece of art, okay? And you say, hey, what's happening here? And give me 2 reasons why. Give me some evidence about why you believe that. And you could use this for a lesson too. You could say, go to Google Arts and Culture, find a piece of art that represents the plot of the story and tell me why. Or find a piece of art that represents this time in history and tell me why. Find a piece of art that represents a gaseous state of matter to you. And why? Not because it's a literal gas. So these are not literal examples, but deep creative reasons like, well, um, I think it's a gas because this picture has a lot of energy in it, just like a gas particle. I'm a science teacher, so of course my mind goes to the science examples. Okay, you could make a statement like, okay, prisons are the best places for criminals. Just leave it at that. Okay, and then have students go to locations, right? Based on, do you agree? Do you kind of agree? Do you disagree? And then within their corners, have them discuss why they feel that way. And then they'll nominate just one speaker that can share the evidence. So I think this one also, you could totally use this in a lesson. I think you could really find a place that would meet a standard, a learning standard, but also it could just be for fun too, just for the brain break and just getting them up and moving and talking.